over to other breaking news stories. Now, CNN News 18 has decoded the illegal immigration route, how migrants use Nepal as a transit point for crossing from Bangladesh to India. For more, let's also quickly go across to my colleague Anand Narasimhan, who will explain the details.
Well, thanks for that, Akanksha. And this is further to our investigation. Now, we already established the fact that no man's land to the tune of nearly 2,000 square kilometers on the Bihar-Nepal border has already been encroached, and it's been done illegally by illegals who are coming in from Bangladesh. So now, what we're going to put out is the illegal route. So what do? These illegals move from Bangladesh over into Nepal. So they cross over into Nepal, and then they cross over into India at the Indo Bangladesh border into Nepal. So this is what they do. This is where they move into India, and from India they go into Nepal, and then they come back into Bihar. So they first go from Bangladesh towards Nepal, and then they take a U-turn and come back and settle in along these border regions. This is the Simanchal region, and that's where they are. In Nepal, they turn towards the Bihar border, and that's where they occupy these areas, which is largely the no man's land stretch. And then they turn, and what they also do is they settle in these border areas and then slowly move inwards. They get their valid documents, and then they spread to the rest of the country. So we have Anvit and Arunima joining us at this point. Anvit, you went down and you found out. So how did you figure this out, this route that they are actually crossing over into Nepal? And then because it's a porous border, they are coming back. You also mentioned that there are agents who facilitate this.
Yes, Anand, we spoke to security personnel, and we spoke to particularly people in the anti-terror squad in Bihar Police and anti-trafficking unit. So these officials, including SSB officials and SSB intelligence branch officials, they told us, it is their words, that how this entire nexus operates, because entry into directly from Bangladesh into West Bengal is the BSF is posted there, and it's quite vigil has been increased over the past recent years owing to the Rohingya crisis in Bangladesh. What they do is, because they are allowed to travel from Bangladesh till Nepal border via India, this leverage that has been given to them is being completely misused. So a vehicle carries these people from somewhere near Siliguri up to the Nepal border, which meets West Bengal, and there they get off, and then they take a U-turn and enter India via Bihar, because this particular area, this particular belt of Simanchal, which is border with the international border with Nepal, this is very porous. In fact, we went on ground and we found that it is like an open field. Anyone can come across and go. When we spoke to some people, they also said that they often go into Nepal and then they come back during the day hours. In fact, the cattle that were grazing there, the children who were cycling, they were also often, going into Nepal and coming into India. So there's no demarcation, particularly no fencing at the border. It is an open border, and that is what the SSB officials also say. They had been patrolling the areas of the border areas, but the job gets tougher because the no man's land, particularly the area, it is quite heavily inhabited, and the settlements clusters here, they do not allow SSB to patrol that freely as it should be, because as we know, no man's land cannot be inhabited by anyone. It is an area in which both agencies from both the sides keep an eye particularly to prevent infiltration. And as earlier also we mentioned that along the Indo-Nepal border that spans to 1700 kilometers in 3 states, Bihar, Uttarakhand and Uttar Pradesh, there are only 26 authorized trade routes through which people can come and go. There are only 7 integrated checkposts through which third national country men can come and go, and they have to undergo checking by customs and immigration, and only then they can come in. But when you go on ground, the reality is completely different. These people, the entire demographic shift that has taken place, most of them, officials say, experts say, all of them had corroborated our coverage that these are mostly Bangladeshi Muslims, including Rohingyas. And when we say that they are a threat to security, it is not only in that region. Once they get their Aadhaar made and they're seeded into the family trees of the locals living in Bihar, they travel to other parts of the country. And we are saying this based on documents. In fact, last year Delhi Police's special cell had also filed a charge sheet against one Rohingya person who was found with a fake Aadhaar ID. When they interrogated him, it was found that he had come into India in 2017 and for 3 years he stayed in Deoband in Uttar Pradesh in a mosque. So he had been illegally staying there. In fact, there have been multiple incidents where Delhi police have arrested Bangladeshi gangs involved in murder, rapes, robberies, and many such incidents in recent past.
So how is it that they moved from Bangladesh into Nepal to this entire Simanchal belt? There are 6-7 districts including Araria and Supal and Kishanganj, etc. And then they are actually moving to the rest of the country. Arunima is also live with us. Arunima, first is that those who are issuing these fake Aadhaar cards and these fake passports, these fake picture, papers to these nationals and to these people trying to domesticate them, they should be actually caught under UAPA. UAPA has to be slapped because this is nothing but aiding, abetting something which is an act against the sovereignty of the country. The second part is that how did the agencies stumble? Have they wisened up to this entire fake racket and this family tree seeding that Anvit was talking about?
See, the first thing about whether knowingly agencies are turning a blind eye, those who are in charge of making Aadhaar, are they knowingly turning a blind eye? What I have learned is that this is getting exceedingly difficult because the modus operandi is so complicated. What is the modus operandi here? That families who have been in the Simanchal area, Muslim families who have been here for generations, they go and say that,
Right.
this child is mine.
Arunima, we'll come back to this story.